Stop accepting the crushing, exhausting illusion that your physical presence is flawed, inadequate, or destined to be brutally rejected by the superficial world forever. Stop comforting your breaking heart in the deep silence of midnight with the dangerous, life-draining lie that your skin, your facial composition, your body type, or the heavy cloud of physical insecurity that leaves you terrified of looking straight into a glass reflection is a permanent sentence of isolation you must quietly carry for the rest of your life. Freeze your positions exactly where you are right now, lock your eyes onto this screen with absolute, unyielding intensity, and do not dare to swipe away from this immediate, high-priority spatial identity correction broadcast. If you make the fatal mistake of skipping this transmission in the next 3 seconds out of sheer emotional fatigue, shame, or casual distraction, you are actively signing a spiritual warrant to let the entities of rejection keep projecting a counterfeit distortion over your physical form, leaving your self-worth permanently broken. This is not a common internet video, nor is it a basic motivational self-care speech designed for your passing amusement. This is an immediate, sovereign removal of the dark veil over your image. Tonight, the creator of beauty is stepping directly into your specific coordinates to forcefully shred the heavy shroud of shame, body anxiety, and complexion fear that has hidden your true, magnificent radiance since the year 1990. If you close this clip right now, you are turning back the only celestial realignment sent to clear your mirror, leaving your presentation completely shadowed and vulnerable tomorrow morning. Look closely at the invisible blueprint of physical condemnation that has been quietly operating over your mind for over 3 decades. You have noticed how every single time you gather the inner courage to dress up, attend a social gathering, or step into a room full of people with an open heart, a sudden, cold wave of self-consciousness, an unexplainable panic about how others view you, or a bitter memory of past verbal rejections emerges from the dark to completely wipe out your confidence. You have watched yourself hide from cameras, duck away from the spotlight, and work twice as hard to compensate for what you thought was a flawed appearance, only to end up staring at your reflection with heavy tears, clutching your chest in absolute agony, wondering why you weren't created to match the smooth, effortless beauty standards of the world around you. You have spent years blaming this repeating heartbreak on your genetics, your bone structure, or your skin texture, but I am here to completely interrupt that dangerous blindness with a fierce, chilling truth. Your physical perception has been trapped under a systematic, hidden captive grid of spiritual distortion. The forces of darkness do not want your household to walk into a lifestyle of vibrant, radiant influence and absolute magnetic presence. Their ultimate objective is to pre-program your daily existence with chronic physical inadequacy, ensuring that no matter how brilliant your mind is or how pure your soul is, you remain too self-conscious to ever stand up and shine. They have spent 36 years placing a dark, sticky shroud over your image so people would overlook your worth, but tonight, the supreme artist has ordered an immediate full-scale extraction. Break free from this generational illusion right now. Do not be fooled by the familiar, quiet terror of your bathroom mirror or the heavy anxiety of comparison that your accuser has planned to throw at your thoughts tomorrow morning. In the United States, you are surrounded by a deeply shallow, hyper-commercialized culture that trains you to view physical appearance through a purely biological and marketing lens, completely blinding you to the fact that your material presentation is a highly active spiritual battlefield before it ever manifests as low self-esteem or media anxiety. The entities of rejection do not wait for you to look in a mirror. They preoccupy the visual field of your critics in the unseen world, placing dark blindfolds on the eyes of the people around you, injecting sudden, cruel comments into your family circles, and seeding intense self-contempt into your subconscious mind so you remain trapped in a perpetual loop of defensive hiding. Have you ever wondered why you feel an intense wave of dread when someone looks at you for too long? That is the dark cloud of the shrouded mirror activating its pre-programmed freeze to make you pull away before you can even experience true validation. But tonight, the invisible hand of the master designer is completely shattering that optical trap to absolute dust. I have detected the silent, unseen drain on your emotional vitality, and I have exposed the exact spiritual origin of the appearance blockages that have tried to keep your true value buried under a pile of societal criticism. The spiritual accusers who have hoarded your confidence are gathering in a frantic, panicked circle at the very borders of your future environment at this exact microsecond. They are staring at your device right now, praying that you will feel too defeated, too cynical, or too broken to receive this immediate relational and physical overwrite. They know with absolute certainty that if they can keep your spirit silent for just a few more seconds, the supernatural transfer of your clean, unblemished presentation will hit an irreversible bottleneck, marking your restoration as unclaimed and returning your lifestyle to another decade of emotional isolation, painful comparison, and hidden tears. But the High Court of Heaven has just issued an absolute decree of total liberation over your life. The sovereign judge has counted every single tear you've dropped while staring at a mirror in silence. He has seen the hidden trauma of being bypassed, ignored, or shamed because of your physical container, and he has ordered an immediate, full-scale celestial intervention to clear your reflection from top to bottom. Stand your ground right now. Lock your eyes onto this transmission, and prepare your spirit to witness the violent removal of that heavy cloud forever. Your value is not defined by human filters, your divine radiance is being exposed this very hour, while your natural intelligence remains entirely trapped in the painful memory of old insults, the trauma of being overlooked in social gatherings, and the suffocating anxiety of feeling physically inadequate compared to the filtered illusions of modern media. A monumental structural revolution is occurring in the unseen world. I am here to expose the astonishing, high-velocity precision of the radiance extraction. Right now, as you sit under the weight-bearing, intense atmosphere of this emergency spatial identity correction broadcast, the supreme architect of creation is bypassing your conscious limitations to directly alter the spiritual frequencies of your physical presentation. He is not merely handing you a shallow word of emotional reassurance to soothe your self-doubt, or giving you a temporary psychological boost to help you survive another day of hiding from the world. He is executing an immediate, systematic hidden radiance extraction. Deep within the celestial laboratories where the physical and spiritual components of human identity are perfectly structured, the divine craftsman is resetting your layout. He is systematically washing out the deep, heavy layers of generational shame, the toxic stains of public body shaming, and the dark optical blockades that have micro-targeted your confidence and physical presence since the year 1990. The sovereign hand of God is actively erasing that long history of visual degradation, altering the spiritual atmosphere around your body, and bathing your face in a glorious, permanent wave of divine glow exposure. Break free from this generational illusion right now. Stop believing the deceptive, critical internal voice that tells you that your household is destined to remain a permanent monument of physical rejection, low self-esteem, or permanent isolation. Those persistent, heavy blockages that have shattered your confidence right as you were about to step into your true social or professional authority are nothing more than the fading debris of a twisted spiritual layout that has just been legally and structurally liquidated by the highest power in existence. You have been systematically trained by years of watching your parents or your peers settle for broken patterns, hiding in the background, and tolerating the sting of being unappreciated, to believe that your own container must never reflect the high-status authority of an absolute masterpiece. But the divine authority is completely interrupting that systemic entrapment tonight. The dark, hidden accusation codes that were specifically weaponized by the enemy to distort your alignments, create sudden friction in your personal relationships, warp your professional confidence, or fray your concentration right before you step into public view or facing an absolute celestial arrest. The unnatural breakdown of your personal magnetic power is being completely stopped by a supreme decree of victory, and your future is being completely treated to carry an unprecedented, continuous flow of optical realignment and unshakable material order. I have detected the silent, unseen drain on your emotional vitality, and I am exposing the exact spiritual origin of the appearance blockages that have tried to keep your true value buried under a heavy veil of societal criticism. The spiritual accusers of limitation are gathering in a frantic, desperate circle at the very perimeter of your mind and social assets at this exact microsecond, verifying the strength of the restrictions they laid down against your lineage. They pointed directly to the countless years you spent watching promising connections unravel at the last moment, and the sudden, unexplainable social rejections that pop up out of nowhere to drain your mental energy, as absolute proof that your image was bound to stay ruined. They boasted to one another, "We will make sure this individual remains under a heavy cloud of constant self-consciousness and hidden labor. We will pass the same heavy burdens of appearance anxiety down to their children, and we will trigger a sudden crisis that breaks their confidence before they can ever display a clean portrait." They thought your quiet, tired tolerance of these repeating struggles was your legal consent to their displacement. But the sovereign Lord of the universe has stood up on your behalf, banged his supreme gavel in the courtroom of justice, and ordered an immediate spiritual realignment of your canvas. He is erasing their toxic distortion from your layout, turning back the dark cycles, and replacing your fragile blueprint with a seamless, glorious reality. Wake up from this cycle of endless delays and stop expecting a slow, ordinary, typical recovery that relies solely on natural variables, cosmetic changes, or standard earthly effort. Linear progression is the slow, limited protocol of a broken world, designed to exhaust your raw materials and your spirit until your energy reserves are entirely spent. The radiance extraction operates on the immediate, explosive frequency of a sovereign divine rewrite. Tomorrow morning, as the physical world resets, an unprecedented shift is going to manifest inside your daily material experience. It will materialize as a sudden, shocking breakthrough regarding a stalled career opportunity, the unexpected validation of your presence by a high-level gatekeeper, the total clearance of an old relational misunderstanding, or a sudden, unexpected influx of social favor that will leave your natural human mind completely paralyzed with relief. This atmospheric transformation is the undeniable materialization of your flawless reflection restoration. It is the physical proof that your life's spiritual routing codes have been completely switched. The natural world is being forced to recognize that your upcoming days are no longer a target for disruption, but an impenetrable sanctuary of divine manufacturing order. I disrupted the dark forces trying to freeze your next week and steal your potential, and I am locking down your victory right now. The thieves of destiny had already drafted the blueprints to ensure that your mind would remain a place of low-level anxiety, always managing one moving crisis after another, and always too distracted by daily survival to ever focus on the massive global wealth and creative breakthroughs that heaven is releasing to your name. They wanted your family trapped in a cycle of constant defensive patchwork. But the hand of God has walked straight through their physical blockades, wiped your structural records clean, and erected a blazing wall of fire around your future lines. Their authority over your work has been permanently revoked, and your thoughts, your investments, and your upcoming completed projects have been stamped with the infinite protection of the King. You are moving away from the position of the worried, vulnerable casualty and taking your seat as the sovereign governor of an unprecedented, clean legacy. There is an absolute, unyielding law of illumination operating within the highest governance of the spirit realm that decrees that whenever your personal presentation has been systematically smudged by dark condemnation, your value hidden, and your mind heavily weighed down by a cloud of constant body shaming and rejection anxiety, the ultimate relief will not be a slow, difficult process of human recovery. It will be a sudden, explosive arrival of supernatural restoration. The long, exhausting seasons of you lying awake in the dark, staring at the ceiling in absolute pain, replaying every cruel comment about your appearance, your skin tone, or your physical stature, and drowning in a silent panic about your mounting isolation, your frozen social connections, and the terrifying fear that your household will never break out of this exhausting cycle of low self-esteem have officially reached their absolute expiration date tonight. I am here to build a fierce, indestructible certainty in your soul. The entire architecture of appearance-based accusation and fragmented confidence in your family line is being completely demolished by the unveiled alert. Heaven has just authorized an immediate, high-velocity material settlement that will completely bypass every traditional social timeline, every human bias, and every slow-moving rule of earthly validation. God is not just throwing you a small, temporary piece of advice to ease a single insecurity. He is forcefully executing a mandatory 10x public attraction, absolute magnetic confidence, and structural mental peace restoration that will instantly flood your lifestyle with unshakable stability and permanent finishing power before the clock strikes 12 tomorrow morning. Wake up from this cycle of endless delays and reject the deceptive reality of the visual limitations that have been suffocating your family line since the year 1990. In the United States, you are constantly conditioned by a highly superficial, media-driven culture to believe that restoring your self-worth requires endless decades of soul-crushing self-help routines, that your past experiences of being ignored define your upcoming days, and that your household must stay permanently restricted to a life of hiding in the shadows, burning out, and quietly leaving your potential half-spun under the weight of chronic insecurity. But I am here to completely interrupt that systemic brainwashing with an uncompromising, absolute prophetic mandate. The divine hand of the master designer is currently compressing years of withheld social favor, hidden personal recognition, and unrewarded inner beauty into a single, high-velocity operational shift. I am delivering an explicit, time-stamped ultimatum to your spirit. Before 12 a.m. hits your clock tomorrow morning, a sovereign turning point will manifest in your immediate physical reality. You will receive an unprecedented message regarding your social life, an unexpected notification of praise or promotion inside your career workplace, a sudden, shocking breakthrough in a relationship that was completely broken, or an unexplainable apology from someone who once discarded you that will leave your natural human mind completely paralyzed with relief. The massive dread of being judged and rejected that has been crushing your shoulders will be completely obliterated in a single moment. I have intercepted the dark plans set against your tomorrow, and I am exposing the silent entity of disruption that has tried to turn your personal presence into a place of constant torment. The spiritual adversaries of your productivity stood over your life, holding up your moments of quiet creative despair, your hidden tears before the mirror, and your lonely evenings as permanent trophies of their victory. They whispered directly into your subconscious that you were not attractive enough, that your children were destined to carry the same heavy physiological and mental blocks you carried, and that your household would always live at the mercy of sudden social rejections and cold dismissals. They set hidden traps to ensure that the exact moment you tried to put yourself out there or speak with authority, a sudden wave of crippling self-consciousness or an unexplainable verbal insult would emerge from the shadows to drag your momentum back to zero. But the sovereign Lord of the universe has stepped into the center of your lifestyle layout and shattered their plots to absolute dust. He has issued a supreme pattern release order, demanding an immediate, forced eviction of every toxic limitation and dark restriction hovering around your name. The magnetic life force that was stolen from your family line is being forcefully routed back to your execution centers this very hour. Break free from this generational illusion right now. Stop looking for a small, ordinary operational blessing that will only cover your immediate daily tasks, clear a minor email backlog, or give your mind a brief moment of breathing room. Low-level survival is the frequency of the amateur, but this shift is designing the armored legacy. The master artist is dropping an overwhelming 10x radiance capacity and mental serenity surplus into your custody to completely transition your status from a worried, vulnerable casualty into a sovereign governor of an absolute masterpiece. God is equipping your mind with a superhuman clarity that will cut through years of static in a single afternoon. The deep, heavy, ancestral trauma that has dictated your choices for decades, the constant fear of your body being scrutinized, the anxiety of walking into crowded rooms, and the dread of an isolated tomorrow, is being utterly consumed by this sudden influx of liquid authority and divine security. Those very individuals who once arrogantly bypassed you, who dismissed your value, and who left you feeling completely invisible will be left utterly speechless when they confront your newly uncovered, unshakable aura of commanding authority. They will look for a natural explanation to understand why you suddenly hold the room. But there is no worldly logic here, there is only the supreme authority of the King. I disrupted the dark forces trying to freeze your next week and steal your focus, and I am locking down your victory right now. The secret plans to ensure your mind remains a place of low-level anxiety, always managing one moving crisis after another, are completely neutralized. The text, the contract clearance, and the dynamic blueprint activation that are arriving before 12 a.m. cannot be blocked, cannot be reversed, and cannot be delayed by any human or demonic force. You are moving from empty-handed worry to permanent, unshakable completion. Your canvas is unlocked. Your 10x protected execution era is live. We have reached the absolute, dangerous flashpoint of this entire spatial identity correction broadcast. The exact tactical threshold where the complete liberation of your identity, self-worth, and social future must be locked directly into your physical reality. You have felt the raw shock of the optical distortion. You have witnessed the radiance extraction vaporize the ancient residue of appearance condemnation codes inside your spiritual blueprint, and you have stood under the roaring downpour of the unveiled alert as the 10x public attraction and magnetic confidence surplus was redirected straight into your lifestyle. But I am here to deliver an uncompromising, urgent sovereign ultimatum. In the high court of heaven, there is a strict, unyielding law of restoration execution. A cosmic material relocation of personal favor and public recognition requires the physical signature of the household's designated chain breaker. The massive ancestral records of historical shame, appearance anxiety, and sudden rejections at the finish line have been entirely cleansed on your behalf, and your production routing codes have been cleared of the enemy's hidden draining mechanisms. But the final activation of this pristine design demands your immediate kinetic consent. To permanently lock down the enemy's terminal weapons and prevent them from launching a vengeful, sudden counterattack against your workflow tonight, you must execute this reflection validation decree. Break free from this generational illusion right now. Do not be deceived by the superficial silence of the room you are sitting in or the seemingly mundane act of typing on a digital screen. In the United States, you are constantly surrounded by a deeply secular, surface-level culture that treats words as disposable vibrations and digital commitments as meaningless text, completely blinding you to the fact that your material and spatial destiny is secured in the unseen world. But I am here to completely interrupt that modern blindness. Your digital response right now is not a casual engagement metric for an internet platform. It is your official spiritual signature on the celestial manifest of permanent future distribution, absolute personal sovereignty, and identity safety. Right now, the master designer of the universe is standing over the central master console of your temporal destiny, his finger hovering directly over the final blueprint release button. but the supreme authorization is currently paused. He is waiting for you to legally step forward and confirm your identity as the authorized governor of your house. If you remain a silent, hesitant observer out of sheer carelessness or doubt, you are effectively signaling to the heavenly recorders that you accept the terms of the old structural oppression. You are letting your silence act as a legal waiver, allowing the spirits of chaos and distorted mirrors to reoccupy your future schedule. I have intercepted the dark plans set against your tomorrow, and I am exposing the frantic panic of the adversary who wants to keep your voice completely quiet. I heard the spirits of public humiliation and layout frustration gathering in a desperate, frantic circle at the very perimeter of your household's future workspace. They are staring at your fingers on your device at this very split second. They are desperately whispering doubt into the atmosphere, praying that you will hesitate, praying that you will feel too cynical, too prideful, or too embarrassed to type your decree. They know with absolute certainty that if they can keep you silent for just a few more seconds, the mechanical alignment and the breakthrough work on the celestial mirror will completely freeze. The celestial construction will hit an irreversible bottleneck, marking your aura as unclaimed and automatically returning your family to another decade of hidden tears and shifting sand. The enemy will instantly regain legal custody of your personal files, reactivating their distraction protocols, and leaving your loved ones trapped in the exact same cycle of exhaustion, chronic anxiety, and sudden visual emergencies that broke your ancestors since 1990. But I am commanding you to completely smash their schemes right now. I am commanding you to log your confirmation into the heavenly database by typing in the comments immediately, "Veil removed" or "I am flawless." Wake up from this cycle of endless delays and claim the definitive fast-forward mechanism for your family's peace, architectural stability, and permanent future. The moment you type those words, you are performing an aggressive, spiritual takeover of the potential that was hoarded and stolen by the forces of chaos and appearance failure. You are driving a legal stake into the spiritual database and declaring to every spirit of hereditary failure, every root of body shaming, and every demonic architect of sudden personal crisis that their jurisdiction over your mind is totally broken. You are trading your years of fragmented suffering and fear of rejection for his boundless, unfailing resilience. If you choose to ignore this explicit directive out of hesitation, you are choosing to wake up tomorrow morning to the exact same heaviness, the same empty energy reserves, and the same terrifying domestic tightness of living with a hidden identity that never steps into the light. Your miracle will remain frozen in a state of eternal suspension because the head of the house refused to sign the production release form. I disrupted the dark forces trying to freeze your next week, and I am watching the recorders of glory stand at absolute attention right now, waiting for the frequency of your specific architectural response. They cannot drop the millions of dollars in spiritual resource allocations and extended personal protection into a physical frame that refuses to declare its recovery. Your written command is the active key that shatters the enemy's freezing mechanisms over your home's atmosphere. When you type "veil removed," you are completely neutralizing the operational blockades that have paralyzed your family's endurance, your social approvals, and your long-term legacy goals. You are telling every force of external manipulation that their authority over your household identity is entirely null and void. You are executing the sovereign decree of the king over your upcoming creative territory. In the United States, you are trained by the secular system to operate in a spirit of absolute doubt, to wait for physical sight before you dare to speak with authority. But I am here to command a total reversal of that broken protocol tonight. In the courts of the sovereign, your decree creates the materialization. Your word forces the physical reality to realign. Your long-standing personal panic has been a counterfeit security blanket that you have held onto out of sheer habit. Tonight, you must violently tear that blanket away. You must trade the comfortable, predictable rhythm of your struggle for the terrifying, explosive velocity of supernatural magnetic power, I am commanding a full-scale spiritual riot against your household status quo. Type the word. Sign the letter. Release the flood of pristine design over your upcoming calendar. I have detected the silent personal and physical drain on your hard work, and I am deleting it right now with the roaring sound of this sudden release. The adversary is absolutely terrified of what happens when your fingers touch that keyboard. He knows that the moment you enter your code into the registry, his legal right to hold your household's creative destiny hostage is completely terminated. He has kept your household weak, worried, and drifting for decades for one reason: to keep your mouth closed and your focus off your ultimate permanent masterpiece. By publicly writing "I am flawless," you are officially taking your seat as a chief administrator of the kingdom's protection. You are forcing your family's property file out of the enemy's execution center and triggering an instantaneous distribution of completed layouts and structural safety. Break free from this generational illusion right now. The divine hand will never force his abundance into a home that remains silent and unaligned. He requires your active confirmation to drop the permanent asset security of the Creator into your lap. This text is your literal digital passcode. Without it, the unveiled alert remains a distant possibility rather than an immediate possession. But with it, the transfer becomes completely unstoppable. The release becomes irreversible. The safety becomes manifest. I saw the secret meetings of the registrars of glory, and they are updating your family's vital land balances and protection logs the very microsecond you execute this command. They are clearing the red ink of your family's identity struggles and inputting the massive sovereign surplus. You are moving from the panic of the shrouded mirror to the dominion of the master designer. The old frequency of decay and displacement is dead the moment you authorize its exit. The immense vault of permanent inheritances live the moment you claim its contents. The command is issued. The registry is open. The pen is in your hands. Do not hesitate for a single second. Do not negotiate with your past domestic trials. Veil removed, type it with the heavy authority of a ruler. I am flawless, write it with the absolute certainty of an owner. You are entering the sanctuary of the fully shielded. The great artisan has pre-approved the layout of peace, now you must finalize the delivery. I have intercepted the dark plans set against your tomorrow, and I am deleting them with the pulse of the eternal covenant. The freeze is broken. The sovereign vault of longevity and protection is open. You are safe in the authorization of the Almighty. You are secure in the treasury of the King. The vulnerability is exiting. The overflow of God is occupying your home. The confirmation is final. The ancient, suffocating patterns of appearance anxiety, social exclusion, and the exhausting mental torture that held your soul hostage for decades have officially been shattered at the deepest foundation. As you stand in this monumental, life-altering moment, the covered, shamed frame of your past has been completely removed from the spiritual record, replaced by a clean, fully authorized decree of absolute physical and psychological restoration. But listen to this final directive with every single ounce of your spirit, and let a holy, urgent awareness settle over your mind before this transmission concludes forever. A freshly uncovered presence, a fully restored self-image, and a newly liberated mind are the absolute primary targets for a desperate, retaliatory strike from the forces of chaos. The old accusers and condemning entities do not want to see you walk into a life of clean, unshakable confidence and magnetic social prosperity without launching one final, frantic attempt to drag your mind back into a state of chronic unworthiness. You are entering the ultimate hour of your psychological defense, and your immediate task is the total lockdown of this victory. Welcome to the stripped glory sacrifice. Break free from this generational illusion right now. Do not make the tragic mistake of assuming that the patterns of appearance-based condemnation and mental exhaustion will simply fade away without a fight. The moment this broadcast ends and your screen goes dark, the silent architects of identity displacement will look for any crack in your mental armor. They are waiting for you to drop your guard, hoping you will carelessly return to your daily routine without locking your deliverance into place. I am directing you right now to establish your permanent boundary line. This act of total alignment, this unwavering commitment to secure your structural sovereignty by hitting that subscribe button immediately, is your physical verification that the doors of generational rejection and hidden tears are shut forever. This specific circle of the mirror is the permanent lock on your life's new pristine presentation. If you turn your back on this altar tonight, you are leaving your creative workspace entirely uncovered. The forces of limitation will see your mind exposed, and they will immediately move to reactivate the unexplainable memories, the sudden domestic blow-ups, and the heavy emotional clouds that wore down your identity since 1990. They will hack right back into your destiny on a spiritual level and bleed your mental energy reserves dry until you feel completely worthless, unattractive, and scattered again. Think of the immense, painful price that was paid to clear your record tonight. Close your eyes and connect directly to the raw, visceral reality of the cross, where Jesus made the ultimate sacrifice to pay the ransom price for your emotional and physical independence. See him hanging there, his body torn to ribbons, his face unrecognizable, his ultimate earthly form stripped completely of its beauty and dignity before a mocking crowd, and his blood pouring onto the dirt. Look closely at how the Master of Glory allowed his own perfect skin to be brutally torn, his countenance to be utterly marred, and his majestic stripped glory to be completely defiled by cruel hands, so that you would never have to live another single day under the agonizing dread of human insults, body shaming, discrimination, or the crushing fear of being labeled unattractive by a superficial society. He took the heavy weight of your family's isolation, your inherited patterns of low self-worth, and your midnight comparison panics into his own perfect soul so your children would never have to carry the burden of a broken spirit or a hidden life. His ultimate relational trauma was the absolute acquisition of your finished masterpiece. Turning away out of sheer negligence does not just risk your tomorrow, it deeply grieves the very heart of the Creator. God will literally weep over your carelessness, watching his child walk away from a secured refuge that cost his own perfect son everything. Do not make the Father hide his face in deep sorrow, watching you hand the keys of your newly unlocked presence back to the very demons that tortured your lineage with endless cycles of self-contempt. Act right now with absolute urgency. Lock this subscription as your permanent shield, secure your notification bell, and step boldly into your life's new era of unshakable, vibrant execution. I've disrupted the dark forces trying to freeze your next week and steal your focus, and I am anchoring your household into a state of permanent resilience. By locking in your subscription, you are not just interacting with a digital interface, you are enforcing a celestial boundary line that the enemy cannot cross. The thieves of identity who spent decades monitoring your tears and calculating your failure are officially barred from your life. Your mind, your career, your investments, and your upcoming personal choices are now classified as sovereign, protected property under the highest authority in existence. The old frequency of manipulation and fear is dead the moment you authorize its exit. The immense, unending vault of autonomous freedom is active the moment you claim its contents. Wake up from this cycle of endless delays and walk forward with the absolute weight of divine prosperity occupying your reality. The anxiety of failure is gone. The fear of sudden rejection is vaporized, and the generational chain of operational captivity is broken. You are moving from empty-handed worry to the absolute dominion of a master artisan. Your canvas is fully unlocked. Your identity is completely redeemed. The shield is active, the protection is final, and your glorious era of personal freedom is fully established for all generations to come. The seal of your radiance is absolute.